Oh, good, good. I know this is an exciting day because TimeTrack kind of grew up last night. It has a whole new set of features, and I thought we might share with people how to use those features. Are you ready?
I'm ready if you are.
All righty. Well, you should be able to see on your screen right now the login section when you go into TimeTrack, and you'll see a new piece. You'll see a place where it says Forgot Password. In the past, if you forgot your password, you had to contact Jim, and he had to manually reset it for you. Now it's an electronic system, so if you forget your password, just click Forgot Password, enter your email address, and then follow the directions. It's all automated, so you can get your password, retrieve it, or change it at any time you need to. Jim, anything else we need to talk to folks about this particular change in TimeTrack?
Well, the only thing for them to remember is that it's going to email them a temporary password to log in, and they need to make sure to enter that temporary password exactly as it appears in the email that they receive. And that will get them back in, and they will reset their password that way.
Jim, that makes sense, and that's a nice thing to warn people about. When I tried this, I actually found it was far easier to copy the temporary password and then paste it in because it was somewhat complicated with lower and upper case. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, there's probably the best practice would be to go ahead and just copy and paste it to make sure you have it exactly as it appears.
Okay, well that's the first thing we wanted to share with you. It's not nearly as fun as the rest. Let me show you what I mean by that. We're going to go ahead and log into a training calendar, and we're going to use a calendar from an Arizona principal who gave us permission to use her calendar today. Email functionality has come to TimeTrack, and what that means is you can email people on your list of people in your school or groups automatically, and it's pretty easy to do. If I open this event box for Thursday, April 25th, it's a decision-making group and meeting, and you can see that there are several people checked who are attending this meeting. We'll check one more. Next to their name, you'll see something new. You'll see a little blue email icon. This is a direct link, so you could email Matthew Anderson about this meeting if you wished. You can also email all the people checked simply by clicking the Email All at the top. So let's try that. I'll click Email All. It gives me then a choice. I can send a reminder of this meeting, and then I get an automatic email that reminds people that Shelley, the principal, wants to meet with these folks about a decision-making group and meeting on April 25th. If I click Send here at the bottom, it's going to send it to the people that were selected in the event box to participate in this meeting: Matthew Anderson, Marcia Astorga, and Joe Aon. It will also send a copy to me as the Sam if I'm sending it, or if I also want to make sure I send it to the principal, I can click here as well. So it's a pretty straightforward system. It gives you a series of templates you can choose. You can send it to everyone who's listed on the event or just one person. If I click the email icon next to Matthew Anderson, it means I'm going to be sending it just to him. I might be sending an announcement template saying that this meeting is scheduled, please come. Or I might want to send a separate email to Matthew altogether that's custom. I might want to say meeting, and I might want to say, please remember to bring the books we used last time. And so I can then send that message by simply clicking Send. And so I have three choices of emails I can send. I can send a basic announcement, a reminder, or a custom email that I create myself. Jim, what else do we need to tell people about this new email function built into the event box?
The most important thing to remember is that the email link will only show up if you have added that individual's email into the TimeTrack system.
So we're going to talk about how to do that right now because you and Eric made that relatively simple. I was pleased about that because we know that we don't want this to take too much time for folks. In order to enter those emails, because you might have noticed that some of these people listed have an email address entered already, but some don't, like Christina. And so let me show you how you enter email addresses. You go to the Settings menu, and then you come down to Individual Group Setup, just like you're adding a new person in. But now you're going to add a new piece of information about this person. And so when I come to the email addresses, I see at the top it says new name, as if I was adding a new person that I wanted to be able to add to my staff list. And then under it, it says new email address. You can see this piece after the @ sign, which is called the domain part of the email address, has already been preloaded for you. It takes whatever the principal's email address is and uses that domain piece, and that's just a time saver for you. Now, if for any reason we have the wrong domain name listed, you can contact Jim and he will correct it for you. You can see down here that for Matthew Anderson, we've already entered his email address. So let's go down to someone we haven't entered, and we'll go to Lorraine Bachman. I will click her name here, and then underneath this piece where you do a new person, I find Lorraine Bachman's name, and then I see her email address is missing the first part, or that's called the local part of the email address. We can't really preload that for you because people have different protocols on how they do that local part of the address. Sometimes it might be mark.schellinger and then the domain name, or it might be m.schellinger, or it might just be mark. And so whatever your rule is in your district in terms of how you do that local part of the email address, you enter it in here. So let's say that their rule is to use the last name. Then I would just type in B-A-C-K-M-A-N. And then I come over here where it says update in advance. What that does is it, for me, automatically puts in now Lorraine Bachman's email address, but then it takes me to the next person on my staff list that I need to add the local part of the address in. And so again, if I'm doing the protocol where it's last name, I would then write Bailey. Make sure I spell it right. B-A-I-L-E-Y. And then I click Update in Advance. And so it's relatively simple. Em, what did I miss here that we need to mention about how to add email addresses?
That is mainly, you covered pretty much all of it. Now, if someone has a different domain and it's just a one-off type of situation where everybody else is santacruz.k12.az.us, for example, that email address domain is also editable. So if you had one person, if Army just happened to be at samsconnect.com, you can change that as well as the local part of the email address.
So that's a really good point. If you have somebody who doesn't use the same domain name, you don't need to call Jim. You can just clear it and put in what it's going to be. So we'll put arnie@samsconnect.com, and I go update in advance. And for the next person, it's still going to pull up the domain name that is most common in the school. So adding is relatively easy. I'm going to return to calendar. When you open an event, you'll see whose email addresses have already been listed. Doug Brewington hasn't been listed, and so if I want to update this and put his name in, I simply go to Settings, come down to Individual Group Setup, come down and find his name. When I find his name, and let's see, we'll take Doug Brewington, I highlight it or click his name. It now shows up under individual name up here underneath where I enter people's names. He's already there, and I just want to add his email information. The domain part's already in for me. I click right before the @ sign, and I'm going to do his last name, if that in fact is the convention that you use in your district, Brewington@Santa Cruz, and I click Update in Advance. You know, Jim, this is really a cool system, and it's going to be a real time saver for SAMs and principals because they're going to be able to send an email, for example, to a teacher to say, please come see me to schedule a meeting. You don't have to actually have a meeting scheduled to do this. I could open just any event space, and I could pick the person, and then I can click email. I can then send a custom email that says, please come see me. Principal Shelley would like to schedule time with you. And so by doing that and then by clicking send, I then can very easily have a staff member come see me so we can pick a time that will be most convenient. Most SAMs won't be just a time, Jim. Instead, when the teacher comes in, they'll say, yeah, Principal Shelley, I'd like to see you. And then they just turn the computer around and let the person pick one of the white spaces on the computer. Jim, it was really cool that we did this new email piece, and I know that you and Eric are constantly looking on how to upgrade TimeTrack to make it better. One of the things I've wondered is it's too bad we didn't do this for first responders.
Why don't you open up the first responder menu and we'll take a look.
Are you telling me that this might work for first responders, Mr. Mercer?
I think it might.
In fact, you can see that it does. If you entered the address for someone already through the settings menu, you'll see their name now in blue instead of black. And so the person in charge of Ames at this school, the first responder is Hugo Luna. The second is Judy Kennedy. Judy Kennedy's email address has already been placed in here. And so if I click her name, I get an automatic template that says, thank you for being the first responder for Shelley for Ames. Would you please? And then this allows the SAM to put in the information that is necessary. Call Mrs. Stevens at 467-8943 and let me know if the situation is okay. This way, the SAM is able to send information directly to the first responder without having even to pick up the phone. This makes it much, much easier. Now, again, if I wanted Hugo Luna's email address in, I would do it exactly the same way. You only have to do this once for each person. You go to the settings menu, come to individual group setup. You would scroll down until you found Hugo Luna's name. And let's see if we can get there. This is a relatively large staff. And there it is, Hugo Luna. I would click here, and I'd go back up, and then I would follow the same convention. The domain name is everything after the @ sign. It's there. And in this district, we're going to pretend that they're using the last name as the local part of the email address. So Luna at Santa Cruz, and I update and advance. All righty. I think that covers the basic pieces that are new to TimeTrack this time. One of the things we want to share with you is every time we improve TimeTrack, when you go to your calendar for the first time, it may freeze. What it's doing when that happens is it's trying to figure out what happened. It hasn't loaded down the information it needs to. If that happens to you, you always want to go up to the refresh or reload button at the top of the page. If you click that, that should solve your problem. If it doesn't, give Jim a call because he loves to hear from you, and he's always happy to fix stuff that doesn't work. Jim, anything we haven't covered that we should today?
Well, yes. One thing is if they are having that issue and the refresh doesn't fix it, they could now just go up to the Help menu, if you would there. And we've added a new link to the TimeTrack technical support site, which will give them an ability to email me from that technical support site, and also has our information about how to contact us there at the side of the page. So if they ever need to find our phone number or need to contact us by email, they just go to the Help, and that'll take them where they need to go.
Okay. Well, Jim, this has been helpful, and again, I think people are really going to appreciate this new service. Thanks again, everyone. We really appreciate and respect the work you're doing in your schools every day, helping students get better and teachers get better at helping kids. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jim.
No problem. Thank you.